Thanks so much for joining us tonight for this special election night coverage on News Center Maine Plus. I'm Brian Yacono.
And I am Bailey Cornick. Polls across the state have now been closed for a couple of hours, and we're getting some live updates. As we track the results, we've got the Voice of the Voter team coverage for you. Christian Harsa is covering question 2. Sam Olsen's on question 1, kind of a reverse order there, a chaotic night. And then, of course, Bill Hirschkorn, our Political Brew host, will be here with some analysts for you.
Yeah, that perspective from our analysts helps really grasp kind of where the numbers, where the results are coming in.
How
so
this
we'll
will affect Mainers.
Yes. So let's kick things off with question 1. We want to go live out to Sam Olsen tonight, tracking that campaign tonight. Question 1 would, of course, have a big impact if that passes on how elections are operated going forward. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Brian and Bailey. Yeah, the official results are in, and Mainers voted down question 1. That would have put a voter ID into the election laws here in Maine. No got 60% of the votes here in Maine. And right now I'm joined by Devin Murphy Anderson. She's the executive director of the Maine Democratic Party. And Devin, how are you feeling tonight with this result?
I am just so incredibly proud of the campaign that we ran. I'm so incredibly proud to be a Mainer tonight. What we saw was a clear, definitive, resounding no that Mainers do not want to take away access to the ballot for rural Mainers, for Mainers who have disabilities, for seniors, and for Mainers who are working hard across this state.
And just what does this result kind of reinforce that what you already knew about Mainers?
I mean, what I know and what we've known all along in this campaign is that absentee balloting is utilized by over 45% of Mainers to cast their ballot and make their vote heard. We are hardworking people, right? And so access to the ballot box is very important to us to be able to have when we're not able to vote on election day.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you'd like to say?
Yeah, absolutely. The Maine Democratic Party has made over 400,000 direct voter contact attempts, which means that we've attempted to reach over 400,000 Mainers. And in a state where we have 1.4 million people, a little over 1 million voters, that is a massive effort with a staff of 18. And I'm really proud to say that we've knocked on over 41,000 doors. We made over 320,000 calls. And to the Republicans and the GOP that put this on our ballot, we're ready for you, and we're ready to fight, and we're going to bring this fight to you in 2026 as well, and we're ready to win.
All right, thank you, Devin.
Thank you
for joining us. Yeah, and I also spoke with the Yes on One campaign manager, Alex Tickholm. I actually just did a Zoom interview with him about 15 minutes ago, and he said he wasn't surprised with the results. He said they'd had a grassroots campaign, and he also said the Secretary of State had turned this referendum question into more of an absentee voting rather than voter ID, but he said he's very proud of the volunteers that were on his campaign, and yeah, we are here at we're here in Portland, and as you can tell, it's loud. There's a lot of excitement going on. Speakers just went to the podium about 25 minutes ago to celebrate, as the results came in. So, Brian, Bailey, back to you.
All right, Sam Olsen live for us tonight, again, as those results are just coming in. We're hearing from both sides of those campaigns.
A lot has happened since we last checked in with our political analyst, and Phil is with them now.
Yeah, this would be a great time to check back in. Phil, as we're learning really now how these 2 referendum questions have come in, curious to get your and the team's perspective on all this.
Well, Brian and Bailey, let's just update the big picture. As Sam was saying, question 1 has lost by about a margin of 60 to 40%. Half the votes are in, the AP calling that race. The AP has also called question 2, and it has won the red flag law by about a margin of 59 to 41%. And Ken and Jason, as we look at these returns, we now know that all the cities were decisive. Portland about 83-17, Lewiston 63-37, Bangor 73-27, Augusta 66-34. That's all on question 1. But the numbers in question 2 were very, very similar. Are you surprised by how lopsided it is and how similar it was in both questions?
I'm surprised that it's lopsided, and I'm surprised that they're similar. I really thought that the red flag law would not be as big. I thought it was going to be razor thin. But I thought that had a better chance of losing than number 1 because of the confusion or the disagreement with the absentee ballot, which I think diluted the photo ID, which would have been an easier issue. So I'm surprised at the margin. I'm surprised that they're equal, virtually equal. it's a surprising evening, and I think it's a trend that was really pretty shocking to me.
Yeah. And Jason, the rural areas in the northern Maine also were fairly lopsided. We had a hard time finding a single town that went the other way.
I mean, not as great as the urban areas, which is to be understood if you look at politics, right? But yes, it was surprising. Frankly, now after about an hour or so looking at these numbers, I'm past surprised, and I'm really starting to drill into what this means in Maine. Who is supporting of what? What happened in the national scene too? And do we chalk this up as bad candidates, bad wording on referendum questions? Is there something else that's going on here that we need to learn from?
Well, the legislature rejected red flag, and the people have supported it.
Well, they did the yellow flag law as an alternative, and it was a good alternative, and there's nothing wrong with it. This was added protection, and I think people felt that they needed that kind of safety net, and I think they saw it as a safety issue, even if it wasn't.
It's an emotional question.
Yes,
Governor Janet Mills stood out, really an outlier among the name Democrats in this state, candidates for governor and senator. She was she was against question 2. She said it can't coexist with the yellow flag, but that side lost. Is she hurt by this at all?
I don't think so. So here's the thing. It's great to have endorsements, but they don't really make much difference. And the election is a year away. I don't think it changes anything. I think that she's on the wrong side, but I think it has little impact on her candidacy.
I think if I'd agree with Ken if I just looked at that one issue, that one statement. But when you put everything into context, I think this is just another example how the governor's kind of out of step with her party, out of step with the younger generations that are coming through, and frankly, it's not boding well for her. I mean,
that's a really good point.
You look at the corridor, right? She was on the wrong side of that on the vote.
But then she won re-election by a lot.
She did, but you start, the Senate is a different race. It's not your governorship. It's a different race. It's a different feel. And I don't think she's approaching it well. I think she's a little out of step.
And I hate to say this, but she's old, and that's going to be an impact on younger voters. They want new blood. Look, we have a woman governor in Virginia, a woman governor in New Jersey. We want new, fresh blood, and Janet's not it. I'm sorry, she's not.
We got a communist in New York. I mean,
Socialist.
Socialist. I get my S's and C's all confused sometimes.
Jason Levesque, Ken Alschuler, thank you very much. Brian and Bailey, back to you.
All right, Phil Hirschkorn with our political analyst tonight. Phil, thanks so much. As we're talking about, of course, the election, Secretary of State Shannon Bellows spent part of today visiting polling locations throughout the day. She tells us that absentee voting turnout has been very high for what's generally considered an off-year election like this one. 145,000 absentee ballots were requested from Maine's 900,000 registered voters. When all those votes and the in-person are counted, the Secretary says it's possible we will see 50% of all eligible voters turning out today. The in-person volunteer poll workers and the ballot counters are bipartisan, and the Secretary of State took time today to explain why mail-in absentee ballots used by 45% of Maine voters last year are safe and secure.
Every absentee ballot that is returned has to be in an official absentee ballot envelope that is coded specifically to the voter with their information on it. It has to correspond to a legitimate request from a registered voter and has to be signed by the voter themselves. So you can't just stuff a ballot box, because each ballot that is in a ballot box has to be in that official absentee ballot envelope that is signed by the voter.
Of course, we also want to note that Secretary Bellows is running in the Democratic primary for governor.
And some local politicians tried to appeal to voters today through community service. In Biddeford, 2 candidates running against each other for city council joined others to support a local food pantry overwhelmed by furloughed government workers and families dealing with uncertainty around SNAP benefits. The director of the Biddeford Food Pantry says they typically feed about 160 families on Tuesdays, but today they had 217. But they are having trouble keeping up with the needs, so they asked voters to bring a donation to the polls. Today, City Council candidates Sam Pecor and Brad Coate came together at Biddeford High School to collect those donations for the pantry.
I think a lot of us really just feel we have a duty to kind of show some unity in our community and really just come together for a common cause to help everybody out.
All right, that does it for this 10 o'clock cut-in. We will see you at 11 with the latest updates. Thank you.